G'day people, we're back at the Fremantle traffic bridge. So after going through here on Friday the 4th of October and finding a map showing us what the detour was supposed to be like, I came back on Saturday the 5th of October to have another look, now armed with the knowledge of where I was supposed to be going. Now I thought before I went and tested out the detour, I would take a detour and go through these path closed signs, not one lot of path closed signs, but two lots of path closed signs, to have a look at the maps that I could see from across the road. So there's the second footpath closed sign, and on the fence behind it, you can see a map. Now, obviously that's closed off now, but why put a map down here where people can't actually get to it? I mean, I'm not even supposed to go down there to have a look at it. So why is the map there? And is the map still relevant? Is it up to date? Is it still showing the detour that we're supposed to be taking? If not, get rid of it. If it's useful, put it somewhere where it can be seen. It's little things like that which just, it's like fingernails down a chalkboard. Now, as we're riding along here, on the other side of the road, there's a variable message sign that's directed at pedestrians and cyclists, and I stopped and had to zoom in to actually read it. Now, it is quite dull. It's very hard to read, and clearly most people can't see it. And even if they did see it, they think it's directed at drivers. And you're not seeing it because this is a very narrow pathway through here, and cyclists and pedestrians are going to be looking where they're going and focusing on that, not looking across the other side of the road at a sign. And you've got to spend a couple of seconds looking at it in order to read it. So I yelled out at these cyclists that they shouldn't be doing this because that's what I did yesterday. And I found it was just an absolutely terrible experience trying to ride across there. But they saw that line of cones on the outside of the barriers and said, well, no, there's a bike lane there. I'm like, no, it's not a bike lane. Seriously, trust me. Same with these people. I had a chat with them and explained what was going on and said, look, that's not a bike lane over there. And they were like, no, we're going to go and give that a go because those people are riding across there. So it just goes to show, how confusing this detour is. Okay, now I'm going to go across here and follow that sign where it says pedestrians. But in the meantime, let's just watch these people launch, and you can see there's a couple of pedestrians there that just walked across the path. So, okay, this looks like it's open, doesn't it? Because there's signage up across here saying pedestrians go across to the left. So that's where I'm going to go. Now, as for those cyclists, if you see where they are now, there's a black and yellow sign to their left. There's signage like that blocking off that line of cones. So that's why I don't consider that to be a bike lane or a pedestrian lane across there. You actually have to get out in the traffic. So anyway, let's go where this sign says saying pedestrians. Oh, look, what do we find? There's a sign smack bang in the middle of the path where pedestrians are being directed, and presumably cyclists as well. So let's turn around and have a look at the sign and also read the variable message sign. Footpath closed. Okay, that's kind of contradictory, isn't it? You've got signage telling people to go here, and then you've got signage saying it's closed. Now we've got a pedestrian sign pointing to the right down there. Now that does not match the map that I found yesterday, which is, again, hidden away behind two path closed signs. I don't know why people are being directed into that development around the roundabout when the detour says you're actually supposed to be going along this path here. So again, you've got a contradiction between the map and the signage. An interesting thing is I went and had to search the Main Roads website and I could not find the map. So what the heck is going on? It seems not even Main Roads knows about this detour or how it's supposed to be set up. Okay, at least there in the middle of that island, we've got a sign pointing this way, and it's got both pedestrian and cyclist symbols on it. And that's one of the very few ones which is actually includes cyclists in the signage. Now, as we come along here, see those grey cabinets? Behind it, there's a detour sign for pedestrians pointing this way. Why hide signage behind cabinets like that? Why has no one come along here, done a pertinent inspection like this on a bike, and checked that the signage is visible at all times? Now there's a junction coming up here. I would expect there to be signage here directing us to go up to the left and not take that path going under the bridge. And that's just pure common sense. You don't need to read an Austroads guide to be told that. Now, as we come off the bridge here, you can't see any signage because it's hiding behind that reddish shrubbery to the right. And oh yeah, it pops out at last. Okay, we now know where we're going. Now, this bloke in front of me that I was following, he was going very slow and seemed to be exceptionally unsure about where we were going. He was very hesitant and was just looking all over the place to see where he should have been going, and he probably thought he was not in the right place. Now, as we come up here, okay, there's another sign for pedestrians pointing us straight ahead. At least that one is accurate. Doesn't have anything to say about cyclists though. This bus shelter, now this blocks the line of sight of people coming in the other direction. Remember, this is a bi-directional path. There's a risk of people having a crash there. Now, at least this variable message sign is legible and well placed, which is good. And you've got plenty of time to read it as you approach. I don't know why this path hasn't been duplicated to widen if we're going to be sending people along here for months. Okay, that bloke in the white cap and the black t-shirt, he's just walked across the bridge in the traffic lane. Now, you might have noticed at the beginning that there were red barriers and traffic cones that looked like they made a path. Well, they pinch out after a while, and you go back to having two lines of vehicle traffic coming across the bridge. So he had to walk in the traffic lane, which is pretty stupid. Now, he then tried to walk back. You can see his head bobbing along there on the other side of the fence. And I was like, Jesus, mate, that's pretty damn stupid. Why is he doing that? Because he doesn't know where he's supposed to be going. He's lost and he's confused. Like I said, there's only one map showing this detour, and the signage is absolutely appalling. And so he's gone, well, the bridge must be open. There's cones and stuff all over the place. I'll try walking across. Now, thankfully, he gave up after about 50 meters and turned around and came back. Because look at this. There's no cones there on the right-hand side. There's no footpath. There's no nothing. Where that Land Cruiser's coming now, he was walking with vehicles like that coming up behind him. That's absolute madness. And why that should be allowed or enabled by the people in charge of this is, I don't know, I'm dumbfounded, I'm gobsmacked, I don't know what to say. Anyway, speaking of maps, yes, I found another old map along here. Now, it used to be hung on the fence, but someone's come along and clipped off the cable ties. It's actually still kind of relevant for people who want to go around East Street and head, say, the Mount Henry Bridge. That's part of the classic Fremantle to Perth loop. So I will say I think that map can be relevant for some people. Now, I filmed this guy putting along in his like 1910s, highly technical vehicle, and it got me thinking, yeah, the way this detour has been put together, the thinking dates from that era. It's not modern, up-to-date thinking of how things should be done. Now, contradictory signage. Two signs pointing left, one sign pointing straight ahead. Now, I can understand that because in effect there's two detours. Like I said, there's people that want to go down to Beach Street and perhaps ride around past HMAS Lewin and head off to the Mount Henry Bridge. And then there's people that want to take this detour and go to Stirling Hwy Bridge. What I would expect then would be a sign there with arrows pointing in different directions saying Stirling Hwy detour this way, Mount Henry detour going that way. That would be the sensible way of doing things. That's how they've done it down at the Causeway Bridge project. There's very good wayfinding signage there with suburb names and things like that pointing people in different directions. Don't know why it's not done here. Okay, now the next 5 minutes or so, I'm going to show you just an absolute shambles of people crossing the road here and not knowing what to do, getting lost, and just crossing the bridge when they shouldn't be. Now, that camera, I'm assuming, goes back to some kind of main roads traffic control center, and it points straight down the road at this disaster area. So main roads can't say, oh, we don't know about this, we're not aware of it. You've got staff monitoring that probably 24 hours a day, and there's probably other cameras along here. is the problem that, Main Roads is operating in silos, and the people monitoring the traffic go, oh, there's this really bad safety problem here, but that's the project's problem, and we're sure they know about it, so we just won't tell them or won't say anything about it. Now, the bloke on the right with that blue ute following him, he actually got beat by the ute driver, who was clearly unhappy with someone crawling across the bridge slowly on a bike. Now we can now see, a couple of people stuck out in the middle of the road, wondering where the heck they're supposed to be going. And yeah, here comes someone on their groovy e-bike, and they're going to have a crack at crossing here as well. Now, they're pushing across. You can see, I guess, there the signage in the left-hand lane behind the cones, which is kind of blocking people from riding or walking to the left of those cones. And clearly, the map that I looked at, that I found on one of the bridge entries, says this is closed. It's closed to cyclists and pedestrians, but they're still using it. Now here comes the person that got honked, and probably a close pass as they went through there. Obviously, if cyclists were supposed to be riding on the road, the speed would be reduced to say 30 kilometres an hour, not 40. But again, I refer back to the map, which says it's closed for cyclists and pedestrians. So no one, if that's the case, no one should be crossing the bridge. And I would have had traffic controllers here stopping people, physically stopping people from trying to cross the bridge. Now, unless they were riding across on the road, like fit, adult, confident cyclists. But here we've got someone on a tricycle. And look, there's lots of reasons why people ride tricycles. Sometimes it's because they're elderly, or they're disabled, or they've got balance problems. And yeah, they've gone down, I guess, what you call the cone of islands in the middle, or the island of cones. But look at this bloke coming along with a kids trailer. Now, I couldn't tell if he had kids in it, and I still can't tell from the video whether there's kids in there or not. But why would you send parents with kids across that bridge? Why would you enable that? Why would you allow that? Why is that not being stopped? Right. Now we can see the person with the green stripe, they've decided to give it a go. They're going to push their bike across. But you can see in front of them again that, there's a sign which is going to block them, and they're going to have to go around it when they reach that sign into the traffic lane to get around it. And then across the bridge, the cones pinch out and it becomes 2 lanes of traffic. So you have to get out of that lane and mix it up with the vehicles to get off the bridge. I've done it. I'm not doing it again. You can go back and watch part 1 if you want to see what it's like. It's an absolute shocker, and it's the only time in quite some time where I've really been worried I was going to get collected. Okay. So yeah, I think you can see there's a reasonable amount of cyclist and pedestrian traffic in both directions along here. I mean, there you've got a fit, confident adult cyclist going past. They were probably on the road all the way from Perth. They're not going to be worried about riding in the traffic. They're going to be going at a reasonable clip. But look at this lady on the behind the bus there. I mean, that would be an extremely unpleasant experience, having a bus push past you like that. No thanks. Okay, now we've got a bloke on the right, and he's just going to dash across into the traffic. Okay, off he goes, and what's he going to do? So you can obviously see the driver behind is wanting to overtake. They can see a gap. So yep, they duck in behind the cones, and they're jinking back and forth to go around obstructions behind the cones. And, they might end up getting pushed out into the traffic and getting hit from behind because of cones or signs or whatever that are in that lane. So here we've got another view of the bus driver pushing past that lady on the bike. So, yeah, it's just a mess. I mean, the map is a mess. The detours. Look, the detour itself down to the Stirling Hwy bridge is absolutely fine if you come down Pier Street, turn left onto Tideman Road, cross diagonally at these lights here, get on the southern side of Tideman Road, ride along the footpath, the Stirling Highway Bridge, right across it, then come back on the other side. That is a perfectly acceptable detour. There are no real issues with it, except the lack of maps, the lack of signage, and the lack of traffic control or traffic controllers. So people just don't know it's there. And there's this absolute confusing mess here where people are enabled to do something which is very dangerous. I mean, from here, it looks incredibly peaceful and serene and nice and all the rest of it. But over there, it's a high stress pile of madness. So my take on this, someone from Main Roads needs to come down here and have a really thorough examination of what's going on here. Kick some butt, I think, and straighten this out, because this is a dangerous mess. This is an accident waiting to happen. This really requires a work-safe investigation into the safe systems that have been put into place by the project. I know WorkSafe might not be able to do a road safety audit, but they could certainly look at things like, has a proper risk analysis have been done of all the potential risks? Is there an issues register being kept up? Are the detour maps up to date? Are they actually being followed? Are they being implemented properly? What inspections are being done? How often are they being done? What evidence is there of inspections being done? All that kind of stuff. Anyway, this needs to be fixed before someone gets hurt.